My name is Felix Uchieng, Kenya Rugby Sevens, and I also do some analysis for the Kenya Rugby Union. I started in 2006 as an assistant, basically player coach during when Benj was the head coach, and I continued to coach throughout then. I just took 1 year where I was just doing performance analysis, and so from 2006 until now, so I've been very much involved with the Kenya Rugby Sevens team, doing what I believe, was best for the team at this particular time, because I think, what I leave for this team is more important, than what I came in with.
My name is Michael Otieno. I'm currently the Rugby Services Manager, and I also coached the Sevens team between 1998 and 2000.
My name is John Michel Otieno Ochola. As many people know, it's Mojo, so those are my initials. So it's not a nickname, it's actually my initials, so that's who I am.
I was at the interchange, really, from a team that was naive of playing to a team that was a bit better in terms of exposure, and a team that started getting results in Kenya. This was from 2006 through to 2011 season.
Hi, my name is Hamon Sando, Kenya Sevens coach, 1996 through to 97. Kenya Harlequins Sevens coach as well, through 94 through to 99. Greatest achievements: Safari Sevens Main Cup, 1997. Kenya Harlequins Bowl, 1998, and Plate winners 1999. National Circuits winner 3 times in that same period. Yes, I enjoyed coaching Sevens back in the day. I think there are 2 aspects that we really need to look at when we talk about coaching Kenya Sevens. In 96, 97, 98, the late 90s, I would say, the focus was purely on picking talented players, getting them as fit as possible, and imparting to them a certain level of skill that required them to then express a form of rugby that we had been used to playing over the years for a very long time. We had already developed a form of sevens historically from Watembezi days, I suppose it was. So that just allowed us to express ourselves on the park. And in the late 90s, that's what sevens was all about. As the game developed and became more professional, we then started introducing structures in the way we play. In my opinion, Kenya Sevens at the moment plays too much of a structured game. I'd like to see them express themselves a lot more and avoid the physicality. And then there's the other aspect, which is the fitness level also has really increased in terms of demands on the players. And obviously then the fact that the game is professional now and everybody wants to be paid to play or take part in anything to do with rugby. And that's the big difference.
For me, I was in fact the first coach who took them to the World Series, the first ever World Series. And at that time, we were only invited for the 2 legs, which was Dubai and South Africa. So for me, it was a great eye-opener, and it was actually now an experience where we were now playing against players who actually we just used to see on screen. People like Waisalo Serevi from Fiji, Vunibaka from Fiji, John Alomu from New Zealand, Christian Cullen from New Zealand, just to name a few of the players that we met during the World Series at that time.
Those days, the top 10 teams qualified for the whole series. So starting 2004-5 season, we started going to the whole series, and then that time it was already down to 8 tournaments. So that was the beginning of it, and then of course we had our World Cup in 2005 yet again in Hong Kong. We did dismally, and that was a turning point for Bill Gidinji. He left, and halfway through that season, then we had caretaker coaches in Gordon Anampiu and Edward Rombo. So that season, 2006, there was a Commonwealth Games as well, and in Melbourne, Australia. So then I was already playing in England. I was playing for a team called the Cornish Pirates, down in the southwest. So we used to commute, myself and Oscar Osir, who was then who became my manager later on in the coaching circuit. So in 2006, we hung our boots in England, came back home, played the Commonwealth Games, and later that year in October, the coaches who were taking care of the team could not go any further because of the work commitments, and the tournaments were too many. So we appointed coach, manager, and assistant manager from the playing unit, which was myself as coach, Oscar as team manager, and Felix Ochieng as assistant coach. So from then on, we had to switch very quickly and Felix still played. So Oscar and myself switched very quickly from playing at the end of that season, 2005-2006 season, to coaching 2006-2007 season, and that's why it all started.
Well, for me, coaching the national team back in the season 2012-2013, I think was a challenge that was good, because we were able to do well despite dismal resources being given to the team. With that said and done, I think there's a lot that we look at and say that we did well according to the standards that were there back then. I think Kenya is not short of talent in regards to players, and with that said and done, we can see that we're able to fight with the best of the best in the world. We've beaten basically all the teams in the world. The only thing that we have to look at is consistency in terms of performance. Well, that is going to be the biggest question that we always ask, because the players are very talented, and we are having different coaching styles that are coming through with the international coaches and the local coaches, as well as the clubs. And the players are the ones who normally sing the tune for us day in, day out. Well, we have some key players in the national team who are actually celebrated worldwide. One is someone like Collins Injera. I think he leads the try charts. There's someone like Humphrey Kayange, he's a rugby ambassador. And so many household names that are there, probably for the future and the past. People like Benjamin Aimba, I think people who started the game back in the day. I was fortunate enough to go into the gladiator battles with him. People like Oscar Osir, I think, are worthy of mention. And coaches were there before also, people like Bill Gidinji, people like Gordon Nampiu, people like Rombo. And I think that's what we're all about. Rugby is something that we have. It's a talent that we were given by God, and we just basically look at how we want to make it better and stronger.
I've had an opportunity to work under some excellent coaches in the past with different ideas and approaches to the game, and for me, I think that is an experience that's invaluable, going forward in whatever it is I decide to do going forward. But I think also, the different aspects just made us understand how to deal with the different aspects of high performance, whether it's from a strength and conditioning point of view, whether it's from an attitude point of view, or whether it's from the sacrifice and the commitments of the way on how we approach, different philosophies of the game. So for me, I think all that, put in one basket has been one exciting journey. And obviously the challenge for me is obviously to get the best out of those particular experiences, and be able to give back, to the sport that we all so love. Kenya is very, very blessed with amazing athletes all around, nationally. The game has really grown from where, it was predominantly known to have been played in particular schools, within Nairobi, but we've seen it has grown. And if you look at the composition of the teams, over the past 2-3 years, you've got a good percentage of players who've hailed, from the schools, from the different provinces and the counties all over. So in terms of talent, having watched, several games even at the youth level, I think, there's so much for us to be able to work with. It's just for us to ensure that we have the right kind of processes and path, and bring all those resources together to ensure that the kids who are playing now will be able to live the dream and to be able to participate and represent Kenya, not only in the core series, but at World Games, going forward, because, the amount of rugby that's been played in the country is just absolutely amazing, and we cannot put a blind eye to it.
Talent was there. Talent was there. We had a lot of talenters at that time. And remember, it was also at a particular time when Safari Sevens was probably just 2 or 3 years old when I took over. So young players were really aspiring to come out and develop and show their potential. And also for the mere fact that it was also the first time that they were getting exposed, to the proper international scene in rugby. It was good. It was a pretty good experience. Yeah.
The talent pool in Kenya has always been huge, and as a player, I wasn't the best of players, but I gave it my all. I worked very hard alongside my very trusted lieutenants, and from having a look at not being the best and still being able to make it in the world out there, and there was people that were much better than me, I thought we just pick and start developing players, and that's what I did as coach, and alongside the other coaches, Felix Ochieng, and then Kimani joined us. Geoffrey Kimani joined us a little later in 2008, but myself, Felix, Oscar, and the assistant manager then was Newton Ongalo as well, who was an ex-player too. So that helped us to gather very good talent across the circuit. So in terms of talent, there was never a problem. It just needed for us to start believing in ourselves in what we do, and knowing that whatever we do can take us places, as opposed to relying on other people from elsewhere to get that sorted.
If you look at how you've played in the World Cup, you've always been third. And the only thing that we say is, that's a one-off. The thing that you want to look at is do much better in the circuit. I think the best we've done is 5th in the World Series, yeah? And I know we have more in store for that. The only thing is we have to make things a bit more clearer, especially to the whole management and the players. The support has to be enormous. It's always been there. And I don't think that should die at all, because I believe in what we have is a very big gem. And if we put our energies together, I don't see why it should be on top of the chart. With no doubt in my mind.
We've never been short of talent in Kenya. That I can assure you. I remember watching, I think my first Sevens tournament must have been the RAF Sevens at Harlequins way back in 75, I think, or something like that. And just the way guys were running with the ball there is no different from when I then watched people like Benja and Felix and Pablo running with the ball in 97. It's no difference than when I watched guys like now Billy the Kid and the Oscar Umas and the way they carry the ball. It's we still have a lot of flair in us. Yeah, so talent, I've never been worried. I think we've got a lot of talent in this country for Kenya, for Sevens, really. I remember my first tour I did with Kenya Sevens. I think it must have been 1996. And I sat with the then board and demanded that the players needed allowances as we were traveling for 2 weeks, I think, or 10 days or whatever it was. And they were paid $50 for 10 days. I think that was it. And when I listen to the current scenarios now being played out, it's different. The amount of commitment you require from a player is not the same as we required then. For $50, these guys were happy and went and played and performed well. I don't think you can pay any player now $50, even at club level, and they play for you. So it's resources have refocused. It's not only about what you give the team in terms of training facilities and coaches, it's also what you put in their wallet. And that's a big game changer.
There was barely any resources then. The only resources we had was our big hearts for the game and probably our bodies which could run all day without complaining too much. So in terms of what was provided for us to work with as a team to better ourselves, there was just water basically, and not to forget there was a good sponsor in Virgin Atlantic who came on board, and for the first time we'd seen money in rugby. There was the first year they gave us 7 million, I think, and that was in 2006-07 season, and that gave us a boost because we hadn't any money. So it paid our little allowances when we were out of the country. It paid for our little supplies when we were around. So food after training, water, fruit, and bits and pieces like that, medical kit. So that was a major leap from where we're coming from, where the union had to try and find money from all over the place to try and give us the little money that there was.
We really didn't have much exposure as coaches or even training as coaches. It was kind of like you are thrown in the fray, and then you just find your own way, like you're wading in the sea, not really knowing where you're going. Yeah, so it was a very, very big challenge for somebody like me to take up that kind of challenge at that particular time. And as a first timer, it was really difficult. But again, it taught me quite a lot and exposed me to quite a lot of aspects at that time.
It has involved a lot of commitment from several stakeholders in the industry. I think first of all, I think it's very important to acknowledge the clubs of which these players have come from, because we don't just pick players, from anywhere. I think the clubs have played a huge role in bringing these players into an environment or into a stage of which they can be selected by the coaches. While at the same time, I think the federation, there've been a lot of platforms that have been created to allow this to happen over the years. The sponsors cannot be left out of these ones, because I think they've been very, very supportive going forward in terms of ensuring that we have a medium playing field to be able to participate at that particular level. So for me, I think all these factors have played a huge role, and the advancement of clubs has been seen. We have clubs that have now strength and conditioning coaches. Clubs are working very hard on their structures. Clubs are ensuring that they're giving their best players the best opportunities to be successful. So for me, I see the rise has been a combination of several other factors. We've had obviously our challenges, but obviously that's what we're all trying to work on now, whether it's from the clubs to the union to the sponsors and individuals, to ensure that the gap between the club and the union and the players and their coaches and the 15s and the 7s is closer, so that we have a connected approach towards what we need to achieve going forward. So it's just about cohesion from the top down, or it's actually from the bottom up.
Well, for me, it was a big challenge back then in terms of facilities, and challenges were many, because there was no money then, so to say. And I think that's what we're trying to get to where we are at the moment, the transition. I remember things like supplements were not there, the conditioning equipment wasn't there. But with all that said and done, I don't think it's an excuse for not performing, but it's good that we talked about that, because once we stepped out, that's when you saw Mike Friday come in, And everything that we'd asked for then was put into place. And to me, at the end of the day, it's not a matter of who was there and what we did. It's a matter of the principles that we laid, the game, and what we stand for. When Kenya plays well, I think all of us are happy, and that one is nothing we're going to argue about. And it's good to see that it's becoming a bit more professional. It's better than what we had back then. But also than done, I think our time was a very challenging time. But we took the best of the best, and I believe we did well to our standards.
I think Kenya Rugby Sevens, as a core team, is obviously an exciting challenge. Obviously, it has its ups and downs, but for me as an individual, I think it has been an experience where not only have I grown as an individual, but it has also improved other areas of my life. And I think also for those involved, whether it's within the secretariat, the players, the clubs, and who've come through this particular system, they must say that it's a very exciting prospect, to be part of a core team in the world, being the only other African team outside South Africa to be participating in all the tournaments. And it's something, that is amazing for players to be able to have that opportunity, to experience success while at the same time to learn from the failures and the challenges that they experience. Well, I mean, when we took over in 2006 and Benja was the head coach and I was the assistant, I think those were very, very exciting times. And we always sat in the corner and said, you know what, we have a good product in the Kenya Sevens, and we have some boys who will be absolutely amazing. Whether it's the young, the talented, the experiences, and the much more mature players. And from there, we've always been excited about what we wanted to do. We've always been excited about the product that is Kenya Sevens. We've been excited about rugby, and it has gradually grown. So from them, we knew that we'll never lose. And you see now, it's almost now 10 years later, in the coaching career, and you've got new players coming through, new exciting talent in the under-19s, new exciting talent in the clubs. So for me, I'm just as excited now as I was then. That it's no surprise, that we will always be able to remain competitive as long as we ensure, all the stakeholders, that we ensure that, that we're doing everything possible to ensure that the game is successful for the players who are experiencing this for the first time, because this is their legacy. And that is what, high performance is all about, ensuring that kids who are watching sport today, whether it's at the clubs, whether it's at the Kenya 15s or 7s, when they get older and they're talented enough, that they will be able to enjoy that success and enjoy those challenges and be able to put up their hands and fight for selection, and become better people in society, become better people representing the country. So I feel, it's exciting times going ahead, and, this particular year, it's also a very important year for us to start building into the next phase.
Well, for me, sports is not a script, if you say so, yeah? And the performances that we got in every tournament that we did very well. Adelaide, we go to a final in the circuit. We've done the World Cup twice in the semi-final. And now we're in the verge of going to the Olympics, and the qualifiers are coming in. And I believe if we put our best foot forward, I don't think there's any team out there that can really roar louder than us guys in terms of Kenya Rugby.
In fact, I keep saying we probably grew too rapidly for our own good, and it's a good thing that we grew rapidly, because then people know that it can be done. In the recent past, it's come to haunt us, because then when you're trying to rearrange things, then things don't go too well. Then we drop in the standings, and everybody makes noise here and there. But it was good to fix that little bit of us competing in the world stage and competing very successfully. And then there was the fact that we are now confident that we can compete confidently, and now we take it to the next level. So for us, it's a very good positive that we're able to capture that imagination that we can do better and carry on and do it in a very short time. So that was a very big plus. But on the flip side, like I say, when you start performing very well, people expect a lot from you, and you have still either very little resource or very little in terms of knowledge of playing the game at the very highest of levels. So you find out even the structures are not good enough for us to sustain it there for very long. So it's a learning curve. It's a very steep one, though. It can be done. It will be done, and it is something that will take a little bit more than people anticipate. The results come, yes. The growth of the game is coming, which is very good. Recently, I've been moving around the country, and it is tremendous what the game is achieving in terms of encouraging players to play, to get involved. So it's been a very positive rise, and I think that provides us with an extra channel of where to put the talented Kenyan athletes in.
No, I think that really was something that was going to happen, because even before we started participating in the World Series, if you knew the era in which I played, where we had the Watembezi pace setters, and we had players like even when JJ Masiga got best player twice in the Dubai Sevens, and we had players like Jackson Omaido, players like Beto Molo, players like the late Jimmy Owino, Prit Nyandat, Max Muniafu. So really, it was just a matter of time before the potentiality of Kenya as being a powerhouse in world rugby was concerned. And I think what accelerated it was the World Series. The introduction of the World Series accelerated that particular growth of Kenya to really emerge as a powerhouse in seven-a-side rugby.
One, we are naturally, I think, cut out to play sevens more than we are cut out to play 15s. So we love expressing ourselves on the pitch in terms of our running and sidestepping and that kind of game. So we're naturally cut out for that. So I think that's one of our strengths. However, having said that, I think we mislead a lot of people by saying we are a powerhouse in sevens at the moment. We used to be a powerhouse. I think over the years it's slowly beginning to unfold that we're just never gonna get there. We need to do something to really get there. I mean, we've been a core team. We've had core status now for a number of years. We have only once made a final. We've been the semi-finalist in 2 World Cups, but we have never won a tournament, ever. And until we do that, we should not talk about being a powerhouse. We have to win to become the powerhouse.
In fact, right now, what is exciting is that when I'm watching the current sevens local circuit, of which we are going to Nakuru for the 4th leg this weekend, the emergence of some of the players that I'm seeing playing extremely well, some of the young players I'm seeing coming up and even challenging some of the established players, for me, it's very exciting. It's very, very exciting. And I know the kind of selection that we're going to come up with for a team that's going to represent us at the Olympic qualifier later this year in November. For me, I am excited, and I know that we are going to come up with a fantastic team to be able to represent us.
The turmoil, and I predicted it way before when we started having issues about whether to have a foreign coach or not. And our biggest undoing until today is thinking that somebody else will come and fix our problems. That is where the rain started beating us. And I think right after I was kicked out of the rugby union, and I said that is where we're going wrong. I was called all sorts of names, but at least 3 years down the line, they see what I was telling them. So this notion about foreign coaches being better than local coaches is total hogwash, because the Kenyans did it by themselves. So why can't we believe in ourselves to go to the next level? For me, people who think that way are people who have that mentality I've just told you about, being bottled in and thinking, if you think of success, then you're arrogant. But somebody else can think of your success and it is okay. So we have those kind of people in society, and we forgive them for that. They tend not to grow.
Well, for me, I don't think we are focused on the job at hand. Right now, it's not rugby that is playing. It's egos and people not really wanting to organize the team well. And that's my only concern. Once we put our house in order, trust you me, we will be the best team that will always step foot there. Players are confident, players are comfortable, management same, and the board just does its work. And that's what I think honestly has to work, because back then, same things were happening, and the magnitude was much lower. So it's a lot of politics that's going on. Once you put out that, and you focus on rugby, we'll be the world champions. We'll be the world champions, trust you me.
I think we've got a very good set of players, and we've got a number of players coming through. I've watched the circuit and I've seen there's a number of players out there. So I have no problem with the players. Our players are doing what they're set out to do, which is play the game. The current problem we have in Kenya Sevens is a manifestation of the problems at board level. And until the board recognizes that they too have to work as a team, because rugby is a team sport, then we'll not progress at all. And really, this squarely falls on the board. It's got nothing to do with the players at all.
I think this particular year, it hasn't been. It's been a challenge, obviously, in the last year. We've gone through a lot of changes on and off the pitch, but nevertheless, we've managed to keep the faith. We've managed to keep fighting. We've managed to protect, to ensure that we put ourselves in a position where we can improve on areas where we feel, need improvement. And I think we've been through a lot of challenges, and I think we can only celebrate those challenges. We keep working to ensure, as I mentioned, the most important product are the players, that they're able to enjoy this particular success going into a very important year going forward. And with that, we only learn, because sports is very, very harsh, and I think we're no strangers to the challenges of sevens this particular year. But I also think it's also time, that we look beyond what is happening now, that we look beyond where our own inadequacies are, and ensure that we pick what is important now, focus on it, and then we build on it, because I'm sure it's not long before we'll be able to remain consistent in our performances, to be able to restore or to renew or to ensure, that when we go out there, we're representing the country with pride, and we're putting out those performances. So I have no doubt in my mind that, we will be able to achieve this soon. And I think it's one of those years where, we'd like to forget and move on, but at the same time, we remember, what was good, what was bad, and we learn from it. So I think that is very important, and I'm just as excited about the year that's coming forward. I'm excited for the challenges. I'm excited for what's put, because we never know what lies ahead. But as long as I'm doing what I need to do now, and when the time comes, the people who are involved in this particular game, from the clubs, from the stakeholders, from the sponsors, then it remains something that we all have a vision towards ensuring that Kenya grows as a nation, Kenya grows in terms of their successes abroad.
For the players, it's all about commitment. And I always tell this to players. The game of rugby turned professional in 1995 after the 95 World Cup. And professionalism just doesn't mean being paid money. It also means you approaching the game professionally. You doing all the things any professional would do to succeed in their game. So for the players, that's what I'd encourage them to do. Keep on approaching the game very professionally, whether it's in training, whether it's in their social life. They are professional rugby players, that they should behave like that. The challenge I see for Kenya Rugby is what to do with the board, because obviously the board has squarely let down the rest of the rugby fraternity. If they can't pull together and get their act together, we are going nowhere. And for them, I just remind them that rugby is a team sport and not individual sport.
For the coaches, first of all, for the coaches, they need really to be role models. They need to act as role models, especially for the senior players. They also need to understand that at the end of the day, the country comes first. And for us, the older generation of players, whenever the national anthem was being played or is being played, and whenever I was the coach or a player of the national team, I think that was my proudest moment, wearing that shirt for Kenya. And for me, my advice to the current generation is, please, that should be #1 priority. Any other thing for me is second.
Coaching is not an exam, number one. Coaching is judged purely on performance. It doesn't matter where you come from. If you understand the game very well, and if you have the belief in yourself and in those that you're working with, it should be quite a doable job. It's been made to look like a very humongous, and it's been made to look like it is the end of the world to be the coach of this country. It's actually been blown out of proportion in terms of even the prominence it's given. So that creates a lot of pressure on whoever it is that is taking the job, and that in return creates a lot of pressure with the players and starts building these tensions that we are now having. So the coach is pressured this side. He's given a good salary, and then he's pressuring the players from this other end. The players have to go to school and basically semi-professional, because we can't afford to be fully professional now. So in the middle, there's a vacuum. There's nobody to communicate either way, and then to add salt to injury, you get a foreign coach who doesn't even understand our culture. And coaching is about understanding people, making them work. Coaches are not, to be honest with you, best coaches do not care about the technical ability, because if you take, for example, the first 12 Kenyan players today, randomly pick top 12 Kenyan players that you think are the top. They know the game much more than any coach in this world can. So there's nothing new you're telling them, really. It's just to make them know that they've got the weapon to go out there and fight. All you have to do is give them guidance on what it is, what knowledge you have, and then sit back and have a look and tweak what they're not doing very well as you see it from outside. Otherwise, then I don't see the point of people thinking that you've got to have a degree in coaching to coach the national team.
Well, we are getting there. And I believe the union has put in a very good, aggressive means of coaches to get out there. And we're happy because we're getting more coaches. And they're in the game. It's a passion that they have. And I would like to encourage all coaches out there to get information. Let's not put ourselves in a cocoon and believe we're the best. Even the best of the best ask questions. And once you get those ones, then you're able to move. And when you move forward, you become indestructible. We're not going to be beaten by anyone. So the union should continue giving the resources that they're giving to the coaches and the referees, as well to the players, because when you improve our resource, then you move. Right now, as you speak, the game has grown in beats and bounds. If you're following the 7th circuit in the 7th league this year, you're seeing that you're having constant 16 teams in the top tier, and then you have probably another 24 teams up there. So the game is growing in terms of the club resource, but you also have to get the coaching, the refereeing resource to get another level up there. We are trying, and we're doing our level best, but it can become better.
I think for me, I always tell players, to keep the faith, keep fighting. It's my greatest advice to them is to focus on what's important now, and if as a player, if it's your own personal well-being in terms of your fitness, putting yourself in a good position for you to be able to compete and ensure that the sessions are competitive, then it ensures that you become a better person individually as well. And that would be my advice to the players, to stay focused on the dream. If they're passionate about achieving whatever it is they want to achieve, whether it's in 15s or the 7s, stay focused on the dream. They will have challenges along the way, but it's a difference between today and tomorrow. It's what you do today, because the future keeps on changing. So, they need to do what needs to be done then. I think they've obviously been very, very committed this particular year. Having watched the National 7th Circuit Series locally, there are lots of players, and I just want them to continue with that spirit. We can never fault the players, for their attitude, for their approach. you know, that we see them exploring for their clubs, you know, and at a national team level. And for the coaches, obviously coaches have different tactics, you know, which makes them unique. But I also think it's important for us to obviously to have some cohesion. You know, I always say we may not agree as coaches, you know, on several things, you know, but we should be able to have a landing place where we discuss and say this is the direction we need to go. We may argue, you know, we may disagree, but we have to ensure that there's some cohesion, because we must remember as coaches also time comes and people move on, you know. So whatever it is we do now, we ensure that we leave, you know, the situation better than we found it. So as coaches, it's important for us to embrace, you know, what's happening now. It's important for us to embrace current practices, to share ideas. I may not have all the best ideas, you know, there are coaches there with excellent ideas, you know. The opportunities that come are, you know, are for each and every coach. So for the coaches, for them to embrace, you know, whatever has happened currently, for them to embrace high performance, to focus on the little detail, you know, to not get involved or sidetracked to things that do not directly relate to the well-being of their particular players, and obviously to ensure that, you know, their players are always protected so that they can perform on the pitch, you know, and as long as we keep on building on these core competencies of the coaches, then it means that we can improve the level of playing, you know, from a club level, from a school level, and beyond. And that means we'll have a better product as Kenya Rugby.